Hello guys. How you doing? I'm doing really good. I'm looking at the sky and at the moment the clouds, most of the cloud is the brightest white you've ever seen. Brightest white you've ever seen. With a little shadow and definition on the bottom, but right where the fluffy white, pure white ends, there's the deepest blue in the sky. If I hadn't taken a second look, I would have thought it was probably normal, other than the fact that I felt something. I was a little excited because it was deeper and it seemed to draw me. And I wasn't sure if that was something that it usually does. So I stared at it for a moment and I thought, yeah, it beautiful. The sky is always such a beautiful deep blue. Sometimes we forget. And I thought, well, what is blue? What is it? I don't know. It makes me feel something. I feel something. And I think I was trained growing up to ask why. Why is something this way? And what is that compared with that? And I realize when I'm looking at that, it's that sky, and I'm almost compelled to ask this question, although it gets lost quickly because my mind has no answers, and I just immediately allow my thoughts to float around. It's too hard to hold that thought, that focused, like this why. Immediately I thought, well, that's a silly question. Why? It just is. And if blue just is it also true that blue just makes me happy? Why would it be that blue makes me happy? And then I thought, well, the blue makes me happy, but I can't just give all the credit to the blue. If it weren't silhouetted, highlighted by the beautiful pure white, and the white wouldn't be as beautiful without the gray undertones, the shadows, the outlines, the definition. I think definition is another thing I really like. And though I don't think there would be a place for red in that picture, like I don't think it would go there. If red showed up all of a sudden in the blue sky, maybe coming up over that white cloud, I would think it was something artificial. It wouldn't belong there. A balloon or man-made object, unless, of course, it was getting closer to sunset, and it was a red moon or a red sun, or there was a haze or something. But why would it do that? Why would the sky periodically change color? I mean, is it just for me? Because it makes me feel so good. I really enjoy the colors. Is it just happening for me? For us? How do I even know that you exist? I know that I exist. Well, I don't know. I don't know what existence is, but I know that I'm thinking. That's what I call it. I call it thinking. I don't know what I'm doing. I think I'm, more than anything else, I'm just being. I'm existing. And being just is a wonderful feeling. Although I don't know it's a feeling, it's a being, you know? But there's a lot of things I could say about being. Is it just my perception? Is that what being is? That I'm perceiving, observing? But there's something else within me other than the observing. Because what I am observing that doesn't really appear to be me at all, whatever it is, it fascinates me so much that it, even if it isn't literally touching me, for that matter, there may not be any physical things in the universe. I mean, it's all energy. And in reality, I'm not touching the cloud or the blue sky, unless, of course, the air has connected us between me and the porch and yonder heavens. But I suppose I could say at least I'm not touching the cloud, because that's something that's not here with me. It's over there. I'm not touching it, but yet somehow it's affecting me as if I'm touching it, because even though we're not physically touching, it's touching my heart. It's affecting me. So I am as much that cloud as I am my eyeballs, because you know I consider me, everything that I know about me. I have hazel eyes. That's me. I have this little place. I found some boards. I put them together. And I did it because my culture says that you need to have boards put together in such a way, usually square, rectangular. Maybe that came about because of convenience, because it's harder to make boards round. So there's reasons for everything. Reasons that seem to have their existence in mathematics, maybe we could say. You know? Like one thing is different than two things. 5 things is quite a bit different than one thing. And we know that there's these differences. We know that the blue is different than the green, and the green and the blue is different than the red. But it's observed from distances with our eyes, closer with our ears, and even more distinguishable with our touch. But it seems as though we're touching everything. And parts of the things that we're touching are parts of us that are more appropriately called our body, our hands. We touch with our hands. It's our hands, but we are not the hands. But it belongs to us, the hands. And they also seem to be a part of us, like we're working together. My hands and I work quite well together. It's almost as if they understand me. And if I intend to move my hand, they just magically move. It's really weird. I just wish it to happen, and it happens. And I wish to know and perceive the sky, and I just look with my eyes, and I perceive blue. And I'm immediately experiencing something that I call feeling. Uh, because I'm not actually physically touching, I don't feel anything, but I feel it in my heart. It's a kind of a lightness. It gives me joy. But the flowers are also things that give me joy, and they're on the ground, and they're closer to me, and they might even serve another purpose. But the only thing I can think about them, though they may be food for many animals, is how beautiful they are. And then I wonder again about purpose. And I wonder then, why is it that the flowers are beautiful? Is it really only to dazzle my mind? And who made it so? Why would anyone be so concerned about me that they would even have invented the concept of dazzling me, making me happy? It's almost as if somebody must have made the flowers that way, you know, wanting it to be a pleasurable thing, wanted me to be happy, and went out of their way to make various brilliant and wonderful flowers. But then I wonder, well, one of the purposes probably of these beautiful flowers is that it's sort of luring me. It's saying, it's like waving. I'm over here. Pay attention to me. There's a reason that I'm so beautiful. Yes, it makes you happy. And if you're drawn to it, it might be like a secret that the universe knows you don't know, but knows that you need the food behind the blossom. It's like the universe wants you to know. It's working in conjunction with this math, because it must be, because it is. It's a certain variable. There's certainly got to be a reason, a scientific reason: motion, speed, velocity, acceleration, weight, up, down, left, right. All these different things that just make up reality. But we have to dissect all of this. And we have to say, well, if we take this circle and we cut it in half so that we have a top and a bottom, we see that the bottom is only called bottom so that I can distinguish it from the top. I'm making a distinction because I'm trying to understand. But do I really need to do that? Couldn't I just experience it without asking why? And I've thought about this for a long time. People say, why are we here? And I find that there is a circular logic that always leads me back to a mystery that I believe I'm that close to understanding. And if I did understand it, it wouldn't just revolutionize my life, but I think it would revolutionize the world. It's a series of questions that leads a person back to the reality that there may not be a purpose at all except for what I wish it to be. And though the universe itself, which is only my thoughts, belong to me because somebody's put the desire into me, somebody, whether thoughtfully, purposefully, or even cunningly, dangled this little carrot in front of me so that I'll be forever searching what is this thing in front of me, but I can never reach it because it's always dangling there in front of me. And it's almost as if the one I thought was luring me with beauty, even feeding me and nourishing me and guiding me to that, it turns out that I don't need to be nourished or fed. I don't need to be lured. It's only something that I choose to do. And I don't know if somebody coerced me or twisted my arm or started with a group of individuals in a forest, brainwashing them every day until they were all sitting around somewhere on a porch, around a fire, or in a forest, beating on drums, feeling compelled to ask why, when they really obviously don't need to. It's only a choice that we ask why. We don't need to, because that which is. And the difference between that I see that delights me and me, myself, the delighted one, may not be important. It could be that if I knew the key to this problem, it would disintegrate the need for me to even know why. And perhaps that would catapult the part that I call me into being at peace. No longer chasing the carrot, but just literally finally enjoying existence. Maybe I needed a reason to feel worthy. If we could figure it all out, we could say, okay, I guess I see I must be worthy, then I'll enjoy it. You know, like I could have just looked at the blue sky and said, it's beautiful. I could have just felt it. I could have just allowed it to, within my intention, that I don't know what intention is. I don't want to know, but whatever we're calling it, and I don't know that we need to call it. I don't even know that we need to have language. I don't know that we even need to speak. I think the language of love is truly just, is not hypocritical. In other words, it doesn't need to know, it just needs to feel. And then if you could really be beyond that need to ask why, maybe then you could literally become one, the being with the experience. Perhaps that's what happens when we have the orgasm. You know, up to that point, we're trying to get to the orgasm, and we're aware that the orgasm just is. You know, and when it happens, it you're in that moment, in the center, in the eternity. It's like you go back to the time when you were just being and you didn't have to ask why, and you're just filled with joy. And joy doesn't need to be explained. And because if you try to explain joy, you got to think, well, okay, what is it? And then you say, oh, well, it's something that's better than pain. So now you've brought pain into the issue. In order to know that we have joy, we've got to have pain. But maybe if we don't need to know and we don't ask why, which is a choice, we'll just experience the reality. When I look into the blue sky, I only feel love. I only feel good. I don't even need to describe it. I don't need to explain it, because once I start describing it, it will lead me in a circular reasoning to this adulterated word of why. the greatest curse that ever was given to mankind. If it weren't for why, we wouldn't have wars. In fact, we would just be in a great big orgasm, because we could just experience that orgasm without all the lead up, all the luring, all the deception, all the wondering, and all the fear. But then, if we really just wanted to experience the orgasm all the time, there wouldn't be anything. Because time and space is a concept. And time and space really must be just varying degrees of love and hate. You know, it's the concept of nothing. Even though it doesn't exist, we just think about it. That idea of not being makes us afraid, but yet, since we cannot be, not be, we must be because we are, then it seems silly, doesn't it, to even ask the question of what would it be like if I didn't be? The sky is blue, but what if it wasn't? Okay, well, then it wouldn't be, but it is. I love my chickens. What if I didn't? Well, I do. Do you like to ponder things that have no meaning? Go ahead. I love you. That's the reality. And that's that. I'm happy, but what would it be like if I was sad? That's beautiful. What does that mean? Is there something that's not beautiful? Well, it's blue, and certainly it's not red, but I like red, and I like blue too, and I like green, and I like yellow. Seems like any color that I can imagine, I like. Maybe I don't need to plan it or second guess it. But if I did that, it seems like the ultimate first step that leads to the change that you are afraid to make. Because you're willing to ask the question, what if I'm not? If I'm standing on a cliff and it's 1,000 feet down, and I contemplate stepping off that cliff, I'm overwhelmed with fear. Literally, it affects my body. My knees start to buckle, and I fall backwards. I can't even bring myself close enough to the edge to even ponder the theory, because literally my mind is thinking and imagining what it would be like to not be at all. And that frightens me so very much. But I don't need to be frightened, because I know that the math says that that which is and cannot be not. And that which is doesn't come from nothing. The universe doesn't need to be created. It just is. And the duality is just concepts. It starts with time and space, distinctions and variables, aspects, angles, all parts of this little thing we call why. Why am I here? We don't seem to feel it necessary to ask, why would I not be here? You say, yeah, well, I've asked that. Yeah, but it's very, very rare that anyone just all of a sudden thinks, why wouldn't I be here? Like, what would cause me to not be here? And then start being afraid. What if I am here? That doesn't frighten us at all. Why is it so frightening to think that I might not exist, but not frightening at all to think about maybe I do exist? That's the most logical thing in the world. Why would I even imagine that I don't exist? Why would I allow my thoughts to ponder that? I think that the real universe doesn't need a purpose. Therefore, it doesn't need time and it doesn't need space. It doesn't need the duality of the thinker and the observer. They're just one. And when you're in the place where you're one, you're with your soulmate. And when you're in the apex of being one, you're having an orgasm, and your thoughts that really control the universe, all these questions and fears and why and anxiety and likes and dislikes and reasons and purposes, you can't bear to think about it. You give in to the idea that it must be sufficient for itself, and it doesn't need you to think about it. It doesn't need you to wonder about it. It doesn't need you to describe it. And once we don't have a need to fear it or describe it or reason it, which is doubt it, then we are all those things. And in that moment, we are one with the universe. Being one with your soulmate is being one with the universe. Because all the thoughts that make the universe, all the negative and positive, which is, negative is just the delusion. It's just the idea. It's just to counter everything that is. It's actually reason itself. Reason itself, doubt, is a negative thing. All human science and what ifs and dissections and elemental charts, maps and history books tell us nothing but give us doubt. They only cause us pain. And yet, we think it causes joy to learn. We think it causes joy to see flowers. But when we see flowers and we're asking why, we're not really seeing flowers. We've gone into some frenzied state of doubt. Oh, so beautiful, but why? I'm not worthy. I'm anxious. Maybe I cannot fully enjoy. What I'm seeing is luring me, but surely it cannot be. But as soon as I put that aside and say, ah, you become one with that beauty. But you can't do it with a flower. The flower is part of the orgasm, but you really can't have that orgasm until you find your soulmate. Because the act of being with your soulmate is apparently the only purpose for life. Even seeing the flowers and the birds and the puppies and the kittens play is nothing, absolutely nothing, unless you can share those experiences and see them through another's eyes and have the orgasm. And having a soulmate is something that starts off spiritually, but it has a physical aspect. You do physically become one, but there is that last moment in the orgasm where all your desire for each other, which is all based on fear and worry and what's the purpose and you're you and I'm me and let's learn and our experiences and all this history and all the physical universe and why is just gone when the orgasm happens. Because you're one. There's no time and space. In that split second, everything is one because you don't have doubt. You don't have a reason or worrying about what's the purpose. Purpose is a construct. Purpose is a human concept. As long as we're stuck in doubt, as if doubt is reality, as if something that is might not be, or what is happy might degrade to sad. As long as there is a belief at all in anything negative, there will be a longing. And it is something in itself. The longing itself, now it's part of this game. There's always this duality. Now I've got longing, and longing leads to searching and finding. And why? Because we're trying to get back to the orgasm. We're finding and searching and seeking and desiring, wanting the orgasm. And since it's two minds that finally allow themselves to just experience each other as one, then it appears that it was those two minds that were the entity all along. Because now those two things that felt separate are one, and we realize that peace and love is part of being one. Reality, the light, we can describe it. But we're only using words that seem to be ethereal, seem to be closer to the top of what is the source of everything we think exists. And if we look at everything and we think, well, the source must be light or energy, and then we realize that is mind, and then we realize that it's the only mind here is you. As I sit here, my only proof that there is anything in the universe is the fact that I am. And I am feeling and thinking, and I can only verify mind, which is ultimately I can prove that I am. Like Descartes, I think, therefore I am. And someone else thinks, and they know they are, but we're distant. I know I am, but I don't know you are. But I see you, and I'm lured, drawn to you to become one. What does that mean? I desperately want to know if you are someone else. If there's something outside of me. If there were, then there could be something that I couldn't understand. And it wouldn't have a reason or any way to verify it because it's outside of me. And if there were something outside of myself that I cannot verify, it would be impossible to verify. If it truly was separate from me, I wouldn't be able to communicate with it. Love itself is this communion, and therefore it's oneness. Because I can't commune one thing that is completely separate and has nothing to do with something else. They can never meet. They can never understand each other. Blue does have something to do with red, because you mix them up and they go back to the all color, to the energy source, to the light. Light refracted becomes 7 different colors. So they are one. They do relate to each other because they are one. They are not separate. A man and a woman may feel separate. There's a distance between them. They don't know each other's thoughts. You can't make love with a flower. You can, but you're only experiencing the color. That's it. There's only that one aspect, or the texture or something. But when you make love with a person, you're experiencing the all. Because the person's mind conceives of the I am, and you're conceiving of the I am, but you have to wonder, is my am the same as your am? And then you realize when you touch that you can communicate, you can love, you are one. And as soon as you become one, all the barriers come down. Boom! You're in that flash, in that moment, which is eternity. And you remember that all is one. There doesn't need to be a purpose. We don't need to ask why. The water runs from the spring and gives life-sustaining joy, lifts you up on eagle's wings. We fly over the mountains. We're experiencing one aspect of this beautiful reality. We climb a tree, we smell a flower, we build a cabin. We're tantalized by the fact that it all seems to be a great purpose. And everything we do, drinking the water, seeing the flower, means nothing if there's not someone to share it with. 2 people holding hands, sharing. Because at that moment, as you're holding hands and looking at the sunset, both of you are realizing that love, the communion, the sharing. And it's like we may not break it down in that second. It's that orgasm. But basically what it is we're realizing that we're okay, that we're worthy. We're receiving love. We're one. There's no purpose. We don't have to ask why. We're at peace. And then we will find what is purpose. We find that purpose is the universe. And the universe is the I am. And we are the I am. And that is the perfect bond of union, which is love. And therefore, not having to find the purpose, but just to be is the purpose. To find your soulmate is the purpose. And what I'm saying, friends, is that yes, maybe life itself and all of its variables and separations Maybe that's part of the universe, and it must be separate, and it must be some negative and positives and ups and downs. But it only is that way so that we can yet come together again. And remember, we sleep and we work. We laugh and we cry. We build and we plant. We eat, we play, we do everything. More or less so that we can explore things in all of its grandeur and separation, and it's asking why. It's the experience, it's the gnosis. Because it always just leads us back to the oneness, to the answer, to the being, the orgasm. So I guess it's like playing music. If we hear a harmonious note, we know that there are several variables, several strings, different notes that can be attuned. And they find out that they're one, that the notes are all part of music itself. And these are just variables of what we call music. And that's just variables in colors to what we call beauty. And the beauty and the music are also just variables of a world that is just two minds that are one, that go through this orgasm so they can have more minds that they can share, their children. And these minds will just keep multiplying. Because the more variables there are, separations, the more opportunity to have a symphony where each of the variables become harmonized and, when in tune, causes the orgasm. When everything is right, after we've had the wedding and the music is played and the festival is begun, we got good wine and good food, people laughing, everyone just dancing, nobody asking why, but everybody just dancing, listening to the beat, the harmony, and then everyone goes home and they go into a dark room. They pair off with husbands and wives, and they look into each other's eyes, and just before they go to sleep, become unconscious. Literally, what is that? Just, we choose as we sit there, we as humans choose to live all of this life, and then it all ends after the festivities and all the joyous music and dancing. We all go home, pair off, and through our unity, make more babies. We experience the oneness and multiply. And we keep doing it forever and growing and advancing. And the orgasm just keeps getting greater and greater and greater until another entire universe is born in some kind of a nova exploding, and the sparks flying. And a whole nother creation, just as incomprehensible as the one we had before, is born from love. Wow. What a beautiful thing to understand that the meaning of this world is love. And we don't need to ask why. And we are worthy. And as soon as you know that, as soon as you remember that, you will have love for yourself. You will know that you are, that I am. And there's so much to share, so much goodness to enjoy. That you will never again ask the question, why? I think I'm going to go ahead and go, guys, and get this loaded. It's a beautiful day. I'm going to go walking in the moonlight tonight. I'm going to have a glass of wine. I'm going to walk in the moonlight. And I'm going to just live and be. I don't know about you guys, but I don't think it's possible that the things that have happened all the things that have happened could have been planned. Could some young man with wire glasses really in the 1960s have written a song, Let It Be? Mother Mary comes to me seeking words of wisdom, let it be. That may be the most profound statement ever made, let alone in a song. Wow. Lord loves you guys. I'm going to go ahead and go. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a good one.